So Solomon Buchi is under fire for actually criticizing Toke Makinwa's remarks and comments on her relationship with God concerning her pregnancy. So today we're going to highlight what Toke Makinwa said concerning her pregnancy, and we're going to highlight what Solomon Buchi said, and we're going to give our own feedback and react to this. So guys, without further ado, let's check this out.
Where you feel like, in order to, these are what I want, these are the things I want. I'd written it down. I'd even written down that October 25th. I wrote the date down. That I wanted that date to be, maybe my registry, and I wanted to be with a cute bomb. I'd called T.Y. Bello, shout out to T.Y. Bello, and I paid her for a photo shoot because I was turning 40, and I said, my 40th birthday, I said, agree with me, it's going to be a maternity shoot. And of course we prayed and she agreed. Yeah, I'm a spirit girl. Forget all what you see online. I said, big Bible, I said, big God. I sowed. I did something. I can't. One day I would share that with the world. But I took something that was precious to me and I sold it. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to touch this money. I'm going to give it straight to Hallelujah Challenge, because we were raised to believe. You hear different sermons. Give your tithe, do this, do that. Which there's nothing wrong with. Don't think I'm condemning that. But I'm telling you that my own journey had become very transactional with God, where I felt like all it would take for Him to do this for me is for me to sow in this season like I've never sown before. I remember going through the year and trying at, becoming a mom. And I tried twice and it just wasn't happening for me. World at large, I was doing it. I had my own signature perfume brand. My career is on fire. I'm shooting movies. I'm traveling the world. Literally, I've got it all together. But I didn't share the fact that I'd had, a couple of failed attempts of trying to be a mom. And I remember this particular tweet where somebody tweeted at me. I don't know how they found out my personal business, but the person wrote that tweet online that this is why your 2 IVFs had failed. Nothing has caught me in my life as much as that tweet. Jesus, I'm not crying because you motherfucker don't deserve my tears. But it made me go back to God and say, look at me. I've become the person that people are now terming barren. On Snapchat, you post this, people are like, don't go and born. I just wish you go and have a baby. Just do this. And I'm like, just because I haven't sat with a ring light and told you guys how I tried and it did not work, how I got disappointed on this journey, because I didn't want to talk about it, but that.
Okay, you could see there are some details that she's exposing here that she's giving us in this particular video. And number one, you could see that she had prayed with her friend T.Y. Bello concerning her having a child. And that thing she has told us is that she had already told God that she didn't want to turn 40 without being pregnant. She wanted to turn 40 with a baby bump. And that thing she said here is that she had attempted and she had tried for a child during the course of the year. And the 2 attempts she had tried have failed. So you can see that the attempt she was making here are IVFs, in vitro fertilization, which means that she didn't necessarily have to fornicate. You understand? So IVF she had tried and it had failed. So these are the context to which we are going to look at before we now address what Solomon Buchi said. But she also said here that she had to sow a seed. She sowed a seed, the Hallelujah Challenge, for the sake of her having to becoming a mother. So let's listen. Let's continue listening.
What was happening behind the scenes? I stopped praying. I stopped going to church. I had totally given up. I was like, yeah, this is no. Even if you talked about God around me, I was so cynical. I'll just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, okay. And that went on for months. I remember one particular Sunday morning. I've never shared this. I know this is going to make the blogs, but when God comes through for us, it's not just for us. It's for us to share with other people who are also in the wait, who can draw strength from us and believe that if He came through for this person, surely He can do it for them. I woke up one Sunday morning and my driver wasn't around and I was driving to church. And I got behind the wheel and I drove to after Aja, and I did not realize I'd been bawling. And I snapped back into myself and I realized I'd passed Second Toll Gate, I'd passed Chevron, how did I get here? I had to put myself together and then turn around. Church service had ended because I'd been driving for like 2 hours or 2.5 and I did not realize. At that point, I knew that my mental health was going through it. I remember saying to God, I think it was at one of the events when we launched my perfume. And on my way, I was like, why don't you just call me home now? the praise is the loudest. My name is in lights. I've done it, I've built my dreams. Looking back from where I came, I didn't even think that my life would be this good. You can just put us both out of this misery and call me home. Now would be a perfect time to go, right? I can come and shine shoes in heaven. Like, I had talked about it to that point, and people around me did not know. I didn't tell anyone that I had those thoughts. I remember going to bed. I've lost a month's track right now, but I know.
But this is her just saying that she had a thought of unaliving herself. You could see the gravity of her mental health at the time where she was really in a very bad state, where she even thought about unaliving herself. That since I've gotten to the peak of my career, I've done it all in terms of my career, all what I wanted to achieve. I've achieved this, but yet this part of my life is still lacking, where I'm almost turning 40, my clock is almost running out, and yet I'm not a mom yet. I don't have a child yet. It's the joy of being a mother, not experience that. So you could see that she really went through a bad mental state, and she had an emotional turmoil that she fought, that she was being challenged by. So these are all sequences of someone's personal life that we don't know. So it's just something that I just want to like highlight before we address what Solomon Buchi said. So let's continue though.
So I remember waking up I'd stopped praying, I'd stopped talking to God. And I remember waking up, I think this was in July. But at this point, all my family members had meetings of, your 40th, what are we doing? And I remember saying to one of them that if God has chosen not to answer me, I'm not going to celebrate any birthday till he answers me. 40 will come, 41, 42, nothing. Let me just let the day pass and not even do anything, right? Before that, I think TY called me in June, wanting to follow up with our dates to say, hey, what's going on? We have these shoots for the 40th. And I remember I picked up the phone at 7 a.m. in the morning and I just burst into tears. And I said, I'm not doing it. I had contacted Funke Bokno. I had planned to do like an Owambe 40th. We had even gotten the Ankaras ready to ship that I was going to share with people. And when that IVF failed, the last one that failed, I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. Cancelled all the plans, told Funke Bokno. I didn't stop responding. FBO called me, I just stopped responding to her. TY Bello, I told in the morning that, yeah, it's not going to happen. You hold on to the cash. I don't want it back. Whenever I want to shoot something, maybe I'll come to you and we'll do it. And she's prayed and spoke life into me for 2 hours, just praying on the phone, saying, you will do it. You will take these pictures. You will do this. You will do that. And I was just like, yeah. Little do you know that I'm not really fucking with your God right now. So just pray. When you finish, drop the phone, go. But you get my message, huh? Hold on to that cash. When I need it, I'm gonna call your ass up and be like, okay, that money I paid for that shoot, when can we shoot it? Whatever we're going to shoot, we'll shoot, right? Thanksgiving came. I shared my journey with the world. And I remember the next morning just saying, I'm just thankful that I got to do this in my lifetime. It doesn't matter what happens after. And I got this attitude of I'm not going to ask God for anything anymore. I'm just going to live in gratitude. I'm just going to change my attitude towards prayer. I'm not praying to get things from you. I'm just praying just to really just befriend you. I just want to be your friend. I just want us to be cool. Because I'm tired of being the Christian that when things are good, we're good. When things are bad, I'm like, I beg. I don't know if there's a beg, So I committed to that journey, and that was that. I remember going away. We went to Tenerife. I had an amazing 40th birthday.
So you could see her journey. She explained her journey where she went through a trying time, and she had to change her perspective towards her own relationship with God. So she changed her perspective towards her relationship with God and became not a transactional Christian with God, but also just she started living in gratitude, literally. Started communicating with God and thanking Him regardless of the condition she found herself. So that was like a perspective shift in her own experience. And this was why she started living in gratitude. And even though she turned 40 and yet all her aspirations where she wanted a baby at 40, when it wasn't there, she still lived in gratitude. So let's continue though.
Beginning of December, I was committed to saying, okay, I'll try this again. On the 17th, getting a call that changed my life. That was the call. Once I saw my doctor calling me, I was just like, he's calling to give me bad news. But the morning of the 17th, I had said to myself that, okay, today might go left. If it goes left, I'm only praying for grace to just carry me through, this season, because Christmas is coming and I don't want to be down and depressed at Christmas, but what this means is that I'm down to square one, literally having to start again. But I didn't want to explore looking at my glass as halfway empty, right? And, I got the call and my doctor, my guy is like, where are you? I'm like, I'm home. Just break the news to me. It didn't work, right? And she said, "Are you sat down?" And I said, "Yes," because I'm looking at your results. We have a strong, positive yes. Nobody could have prepared me for that moment. And you know the beautiful thing, why I told you guys all this story to get here? At the start, I told God, I want to turn 40 a mom. I turned 40 in November. He did it in December. Like, he didn't fail. God is never late, you know? He just didn't do it the way I thought it was going to happen. Because if he had, what's the joy? That Thanksgiving could have been, "Hey guys, I'm pregnant, I'm married." It will be expected. And what I'll be telling people is, I sowed. And because I sowed, God honored my faith. And that's not what he wanted, because that is very transactional. He took me on a journey and he did not skip a beat. In December, I'm not 41 yet. I'm 40 and I'm a mom. Like, if that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what else will. So I don't know what you're waiting for, how you're waiting. You know, I don't want to spiritualize every aspect, because I know that the people that don't want kids, and that's fine, this video might not be for you, but still rejoice with me. You know, that's great. Like, not everybody's meant to be a mom, and I agree. Like, I'm not here to preach that to you, but if you desire motherhood, however you desire it, gone were the days when people would tell us things like a woman's window is short. And
Okay, you see, I just saying it. This is a story. This is our own experience, and she gave it as a testimony. And there are a lot of people that this message will inspire, and a lot of people that message will touch, especially those people that have been expecting children, and they are seeing our own journey, how she even struggled, even though she was very successful in her career, and she wanted to be pregnant by the time she was 40, and the way she expected it was not the way it played out, and God did it a different way. You could see our own experience, and she shared this, but apparently somebody felt that this he didn't was not in support of this, and he had to come online and share his own perspective. So you could see clearly that what she said here was that it was an IVF that she did the fourth time, after three trials failing. On the fourth try, I think fourth or third time, on the last try that she did, it was now successful after having two failed IVFs. I mean, two or three failed IVFs. So this is Toke Makinwa's journey, and you could see the joy in her face. And there are people that this her message will speak to. But now let's listen to what Solomon Buchi said, and let's play it for you.
Having a child at almost 40, it seems like it's something she's really desired as a woman. But I have a problem with mixing Jesus and God with it. I was watching a clip from her podcast, and she was talking about how she had an agreement with God, or she prayed to God that she really wanted.
You could see the problem with a lot of people that jump and criticize is that they don't even like go through the whole thing or understand the story from the beginning. They just watch it in sections, and out of a 36 minutes clip that Toke Makinwa did, Solomon Buchi watched a clip. I bet you that clip might just be like a minute or two from the whole thing that Toke Makinwa did. And from there, he was already judgmental and decided to on ring light and speak. So this is another problem with someone that is trying to be rational and you want to say the truth. If you want to say the truth, understand the full context before you talk. And this is where this is the foundation of the problem I have with this Solomon Buchi's take. You watched a clip from our podcast, and it's not everything you involve Jesus. You could see that alone already already showed that he was half informed, and he was not fully informed on the thing that Toke Makinwa was talking about, on the whole testimony. So he just reacted to testimony in a little bit of what he saw. You could see from his mind watching it, and okay, she's not married, she's pregnant. It's already like she fornicated and had children. But this IVF science, this is 2025, where science has come to beat a lot of things. This is IVF that she had done, tried and failed, and eventually it became successful. So this is already a big problem in Solomon Buchi's statement. But let's continue though.
Wants to be a mother. As a Jesus girl, a Christian, we need to be very careful with how we mix God with our personal decisions that we've decided to pursue, whether they are godly or not. Now, I'm not saying there is anything ungodly about having a child, but you're having a child outside of wedlock. You're not married. So there is just no need bringing God into that. There is no point trying to spiritualize it. Honestly,
you see that he is already even taking it apart. That you're not married, you're having a child outside wedlock. There's no point spiritualizing it. When this lady had literally laid out her journey and laid out the full context of how she had that child. And this is what happens with a lot of Christians, where they just see things and they just want to talk based on what they, from the little information they got, without actually trying to find out the whole truth. And this is not how it's supposed to be. This is not what it's supposed to be. We shouldn't, our Christendom and our spirituality shouldn't just come out. We should not just come out being judgmental and and being a critic without trying to find out the whole concept and understanding the state and the stance this person was in when this person went through what they went through. So it's acting on a very half-baked information. How will I call it? Just acting on a very little clip. It was not fully informed. But let's continue though.
You can give your testimony without implicating God's word and his standard. Just say that you really wanted to be a mother and now you're about to be a mother, or maybe you're a mother already. There is no need to infuse God into it, because according to God's standard, the only right way to be a parent is in the premise of marriage. Of course,
How do you know that that's the only right way to be a parent? So science now that has come with IVF, or is there any line that talks about before you can use IVF, you need to be married before you can do IVF? Is it in the Bible? These are science things, that these are things that technology has come. God is against fornication, and technically, fornication, adultery, these are things that, of course, the Bible is clearly against it, and there's no way to do it. But science has come in a way where people can get pregnant without having to be in contact with the opposite sex. They don't have to have that direct sex before they can get pregnant. So science has come, and some things can happen now that they were not like before. So why is he just talking like this? So this is the issue. This is one of the big issues. People always are willing in this content creation world where the where creatives are now taking over the space and you want to react or talk. It's always best to do this with the full information in mind. You can't just come and talk. Especially things as sensitive as this. This is a very sensitive topic. It's a topic that involves somebody that has been trying to have a child. This is a very sensitive topic, especially from the part of the woman, And the fact that you are a man, first of all, you're even a married man with a child, so you understand how sensitive it is. So before you come and you act on your opinions, it's very, very important for you to have done your research and found the full context of her statements. But obviously, he didn't find it. He didn't do that. Because let's listen to what he said at the end.
some people have made mistakes, and that's absolutely fine. That does not define their life. But sounding as though you intentionally planned to have a child outside of wedlock and then trying to spiritualize it and bring God into it.
From what Toke Makinwa said, clearly it was a very intentional move. It was an intentional act. So what he's thinking, based on the clip he saw, was that maybe it was she fornicated or she had sex outside marriage, and obviously then she became pregnant, and she's now trying to make it a testimony and spiritualize it. That's what is in his mind. Meanwhile, Toke Makinwa has told us that this has been something she has been trying for long. IVF's failed one, IVF's failed two, and eventually the last one that happened on the 17th, she even has the date for when she got the news that she was pregnant, on the 17th of December last year. On the last one, it's now worked. So this is it. This is what happens when you come with half-baked information. But let's listen.
I'm actually happy for her, but let's not bring God into it. I'm happy.
Okay, so he said, let's not bring God into it, but I'm happy for her. So, first of all, the first mistake is you acted on a very half-baked information. You acted on a 2 minute clip when she had a 36 minutes podcast where she literally explained how she got pregnant and how this her being pregnant at 40 came to be. Then, second of all, you're already being very critical of her and already over spiritualizing things by being a Christian. And this is why some people don't even like the whole religion thing, because the default Christian, the default of a religious Christian will just act on their own take without understanding the journey that the other person has been to. Being judgmental is like a default action for many Christians, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So you're supposed to try to be empathetic first before you now try to give your own take and be judgmental. But this is what it is, and this is why Solomon Buchi is very, very wrong for this statement here. But anyway, this is just it. It's important for us to first of all try to get the full picture before we try to talk especially for something as sensitive as the spiritual thing, especially when it involves pregnancy and women. You didn't even listen to the woman. You didn't go out of your way to listen to what the woman said before you literally talked. And you are not just a small creator. It is a creator that has over 300,000 people following him on his Instagram and has over hundreds of thousands following him across his platform. So he's acting on the half-baked information he knows, and a lot of followers are going to listen to him and concur with what he said on the half-baked information that they also know without understanding the full context of the whole situation. So it's very important that we all find the full situation before we talk. Anyway, with that being said, tell me what you think about this. Do you think you agree with Solomon Buchi, or do you agree with Toke Makinwa? It's not even about agreeing with Toke Makinwa, it's understanding Toke Makinwa and where she's coming from. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll go by the name East Coast Prince. This is Storyteller Nigeria. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.